Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Rabbi Farhi. He's so good. Special gift of taking ideas, words, and making them very palpable. This is an amazing opportunity for all of you. It's Monday, and Purim is, God willing, happening on Thursday night. And you have a few days to prepare. And the reason why we created this event is because we felt that it's all too often, we walk and stumble into a holiday and don't really spend the time preparing to try to elevate ourselves and not just, clumsily fall into the Chag, but try to create some space where we could actually appreciate and meditate and prepare for the true essence of what the holiday is trying to impart. I want to, just before I forget, I want to make sure that I remember that this class should be dedicated to Ilai Nishmat Liza Leah Bat Tzivya Vishmaya. That was my grandmother who passed away a couple weeks ago. A lot of the ideas in tonight's presentation was inspired by her life and me thinking about her in a very deep and profound kind of way. So the topic that I want to speak about is, the original Wonder Woman. And it's interesting because when we, in pop culture, Wonder Woman has come back again. I vividly remember watching Linda Carter spin around and transform herself into a Wonder Woman. And now Gal Gadot's new version of Wonder Woman, very different from the 1970s version. But there's some very similar, similarities there. And they all have to do with chitzoni, external kinds of things, right? Very beautiful, voluptuous, very strong, overcoming these massive feats, lifting up cars and massive leaps and jumping and blocking bullets with your bracelets. I feel like couldn't come up with any more, creative than that. But the idea is that a real powerful woman is a woman that could do all these magical things, like take a man and throw him across the room, or lift a car, do all sorts of things that are remarkable for anyone, and that's strength. But what's so interesting about this Megillah that we're going to read on Thursday night is that it's not just a book. Let's put it in perspective. Megillat Esther is the last of the books of the Nevi'im that were wrote. It's the last book that was read. Everything else comes before it. Right? Esther is the last book that was written. So its message is special, it's unique, more so than anything else, because it's positioned at the nexus of two different worlds. The old world, where Jews were living in the land of Israel for 1,000 years, post-Egypt, the miracles, the temple, the clarity of a God living in a world, the comfort of living in your homeland, reading the Parsha, and having everything fit in so nicely. But Esther represents a generation of people who were displaced, lost for the first time, uncertain about their heritage and belief, questioning so much of who they are, of where they ought to be, where they should be doing. And the Megillah begins with the story of them at this party. This party, Achashverosh's party, it's not just like going to a Purim party. You have to think of the worst possible party you could imagine, where the worst possible things are happening, and then 10x that, and you're still not understanding what this party was like. The Jews were at this party. They were there. And they weren't just going there to listen to the music. They weren't just going for the good food. There was all sorts of other reasons why they wanted to be there. Some of it was about being accepted for the first time. Some of it was about trying to find their unique identity, their new identity. This is the first time for 1,000 years that Jews were living outside of Israel as a community and trying to figure out what the next stages are. Some of them gave up hope already. Some of them lost their identity. Esther, Megillah tells us, her real name was Hadassah. Esther was the Persian name they gave her. But her real name was Hadassah. They want to conceal her identity by calling her Esther. Now, the Maharal says something fascinating about Esther. Now, I want to try to have a conversation a little bit about inner strength. It's tied into how I saw my grandmother as being like the matriarch of the family that was emblematic of inner feminine strength. And when I think of Esther, automatically you think of she's a beautiful girl. She won the beauty pageant and she put everyone to shame. She went onto this show and she didn't even put on makeup. She didn't want to get dressed, and she begrudgingly went out onto the stage to get looked at, and she still won. So she's clearly beauty. The Gemara says that she's one of the seven most beautiful women that ever lived, whatever that means. We're not just talking over there about chitzoni, external beauty. We're also talking about a very deep inner beauty, an inner strength, an inner power that I believe that the West and the world that we live in today misunderstands. So the Maharal says that she's green, and her name is Hadassah. Hadassah is a green also. Hadassah is a green. But Hadassah also is emblematic of the eyes. We know that on Sukkot, you have your etrog, your lulav, you have your hadass, and you have your, I'm blanking on, aravot. Thank you. The aravot are the lips, the hadass are the eyes, oh my God, etrog is the heart, the lulav is the spine. Thank you so much. All right, so you have the hadass representing the eyes. Okay, so the eyes are the window to the soul. Okay, not an accident that we called her the hadass. The hadass is green as well. Maharal says that the two primary colors make green. You have blue and yellow, and blue is symbolic about being cold. Blue is symbolic about being distant. Whereas yellow, blue and yellow make green, yellow is symbolic of being warm, hot, and passionate. And green is the mixture of these two different forces. And Esther was symbolically representing these two different forces in her. Anyone that met her, that came into her contact, related to her in the most deepest, profound way. She was, oh, you must be my kinsman. You must come from my country. You must, because you represent the best of me. When you stood in front of Esther, you felt like she was familiar, she was family. But she wasn't. She was Esther. She was Esther, Astir Panai. I'm going to hide my face. That's where the Gemara says that Esther is hidden in the Torah in the same place where God says, I'm going to conceal myself when you lose your way. I'll be there, but you won't find me. Esther represents the hidden, whereas the Megillah itself represents the revealed. The feminine power isn't just about the outer beauty revealing itself. It's about how the inner beauty is able to express itself without revealing itself. Esther was someone who sounds like she didn't have much of a voice. She's very reluctantly interested in taking on this position. Mordechai has to come and call her out and send her a message, say, listen, Esther, you're in this unique space right now. You're at the queen of the most powerful country in the world, the superpower. You can do so much good. And she's like, nah, I'm not sure. I didn't get that invitation. And Achashverosh hasn't reached out to me in 30 days. If I walk in and he doesn't pull out his scepter like you just heard, it's off with my head as well. Right? I'm not going to take this chance. The story begins with Achashverosh killing his wife, beheading Vashti. I'm not going to I'm going to risk myself for this. Like, why am I don't want to do this right now. I'm not sure I'm not even sure I'm the right person for the job. So Mordechai says, listen, you are put in a unique place in life. And I know it's hard. Can you imagine how hard it was for her? Here's a woman who's not superficial, whose beauty is internal. She's not even aware of an outer beauty. She doesn't think of herself that way. She relates to her neshama first. And she's living with a man who, we're going to call him Xerxes or Achashverosh, however you understand who he was historically. He was a super, I don't need to tell you that he was superficial. Just look at the party he set up. Look at the game he created to find himself a wife. The beauty pageant was the way he was going to find a good wife. That's how he was dating people. Let's just do my own version of Persian date. I'll have all the women in the country come down to to my palace, and the ones that I like, I'll keep. The ones I don't, we'll send back. Right? Super superficial, the epitome of superficiality. Esther is a spiritual woman who's intelligent, who's brilliant, who's beautiful, who's charismatic, who's patient, understanding. Where people meet her, you love her. And she, this beauty, is living with this lowlife. How painful was that for her? She could have easily said back to Mordechai, I'm doing my part. I'm here. I'm suffering. I'm living with this animal. It hurts every single day. I'm happy I didn't see him for 30 days. You want me to go back into the lion's den? But Mordechai says, listen, you come from Shevet Binyamin. Okay, you are the daughter of Rachel. Rachel had power, she had strength. She stood up to her father. She wasn't afraid of speaking her mind. She was able to keep the secret. But also, the Gemara says symbolically, Mordechai was saying, listen, we're in this mess because of Haman. Haman is a descendant of Amalek. Your ancestor, Shaul HaMelech from Binyamin, he didn't finish the job. You think you're put here by accident? You think that everything you're going through is just about you, your narrow little vision? There's a bigger thing happening here. There's something much more profound. You have a chance to step up. You could step up and rectify what your house messed up. He says it very clearly. He says, if you don't get up and do something, you think you're going to be saved. He says, you and your house will be lost. And he's very, very subtly tucking in this idea, you're a descendant of Shaul. You could finish this. You could fix this. So, okay, we know what happens, right? She finds the courage, she goes in. But that's not really what happens. She all of a sudden has all these leadership skills. All right, everybody, I'm going in. Okay, this is what we're doing. We're going to fast. We're going to get organized. This is how we're going to do it. Everything, she had a plan. It was super clear. She had this crazy strategy. And if you like Rabbi Farhi was talking a little bit about the mind game of what she was creating, the thoughtfulness, right? There is so much depth to who she is as an individual. It's unbelievable. It's mind-blowing. Spend some time going back and looking at the Midrashim that talk about Esther and what she was doing with Mordechai. The game she was playing is brilliant. She was playing everybody the whole entire time, and you never knew it. Her greatness is that when you were with her, she was with you the whole time. She was there 100%. You were from her country. She wasn't manipulative. She was understanding to the point where at one little turn could twist the whole thing around. That was her power, her superpower, her strength, the real Wonder Woman of the story, of this place between two worlds, a world ending and a new world beginning. We know that the second Beit HaMikdash was a shadowy remnant of whatever was there in the first. There were no nisim, there were no miracles. There was nothing great about the second temple aside from its outer beauty. But inside, it was missing everything that made the first Beit HaMikdash beautiful. There was no relationship, that palpable relation with God. It was missing, it was gone. This is why the Greeks could come in. This is why the Romans could come in. This is why in the first Beit HaMikdash you had something like 18 Kohen Gadolim that took on that position. Whereas in the second Beit HaMikdash you had something like 187 Kohen Gadols that ruled during the 400 years of the second Beit HaMikdash. Right? A very different world. But we've inherited a very different kind of world. We've been in Galut for 2,000 years. We haven't been home. And even though we have a home today, it's not 100%. We're not there yet. We're so close. But Purim, to me, represents the reminder. We say at the end of the story, La Yudim Haita Ora V'Simcha. What was that light? What was that happiness? What is it all about? What are we supposed to be excited for? Right? So, okay, we know how the story ends. We won. Right? We weren't eradicated. The people that tried to kill us, didn't work this time. Just like the last time, the time before that. And, we know how the story ends. Right? But what's the real simcha of that day? What were the Jews of Shushan excited about? What was their passion? Why were they so elated and happy? What was it that they were feeling? And it's not what you think it was. It wasn't just going out and let's just go party, we won, we're alive. It was a clarity of mission. Esther becomes animated when she takes on the role that she was put in, when she plays her part. That is simcha. Her happiness is understanding that your soul has a mission. You achieve happiness when your soul is aligned and doing what you're meant to be doing. The Jewish people, for the first time, understood, we know why we're here, we get it, we messed up. The Megillah is here to reveal that which is ne'elam. The world, the olam is ne'elam. It's hiding a truth. The world is hiding a truth. What's that truth? That you live in a world of justice. That you live in a world where everything that we go through in life has meaning and purpose. That you live in a world where every aspect of your being was set up uniquely so you could have happiness, so you can have greatness, so you can have true inner wealth and beauty. It's there waiting for you. But it's too easy to get lost in the chitzoni, the externals. Don't get lost in what the outside world is telling you that is beautiful and delightful and fun. That's how the story begins. The true power of this feminine power that Esther brings into the story is that real strength, real power is an inner understanding of what your mission is. It's the real power of this feminine strength is knowing when to be big and when to be small, when to speak up and when to be silent. She held the secret the whole time. She said nothing. And then at the right moment, she presents herself. She knows when to be present. She knows when to be standing there in the background. But anyone who meets her understands that she's there with you 100%. That is beauty. That's the inner beauty of Esther. Esther wasn't just Esther the Malka. You have to remember that the story doesn't end with, oh, okay, everyone goes home, they all got saved. Esther lived with Ahasuerus for the rest of her life. Everyone else went home. She stayed. She was there. No complaints. It's not fair, God. Why is this my bashert? Right? Why is this the guy married? She has a kid, Daryavesh, who gives the Jewish people the power to go back and rebuild the Beit HaMikdash. The story of us coming back and rebuilding again. Sacrifice, patience is nice, but it has to be couched in this idea that everything that we go through in life is for a reason. I don't fully understand what that reason is. I may not understand. For her, she had that clarity. She understood that everything that she went through in life, being an orphan, being raised by Mordechai, ending up, it makes no sense, in the palace, that she's the girl that the king is going to marry. That Haman is, taken in by her, that her superpower, people are drawn to her, and she takes all this and recognizes every single step of the way, that everything that she goes through is set for this one moment, and she's not making that mistake. She steps in the shoes of Esther HaMalka. She's no longer just Hadassah, the nice Jewish girl from Shushan. She becomes the prince of Persia, the woman that reveals God in this world. I'm going to end with the family parable. It's Rav Hutner. He says that there's two kinds of people. There's one person who is looking for their friend, and it's a dark room. They can't find their friend. So this one friend, what he does is he's very simple. He turns on the flashlight, and he looks around the room, and he finally finds his friend. And as he finally gets closer and closer, the sun is rising. But from a distance, he sees the person. He understands who the person is, and he turns off his flashlight. There's nothing new that's gained anymore. That relationship was there. He saw it from before. He got closer and closer. It became more and more clear. As the sun got up, he needed the flashlight. It was there. There was no change in the nature of their relationship. But there's another kind of person who doesn't have a flashlight. And all that person has are their other senses. They're using their hands. They're using their ears. They're using their sense of smell. They're trying to find this person. And they're getting closer and closer. And every single step, as they're looking for this friend in the darkness, they're learning something new about the way they breathe, about the way they smell, about the way they sound. They're learning something new. And then finally, when the sun rises and the room becomes illuminated and this friend is revealed, there's a whole other new reality that is exposed, that gives us the clarity of who this person is, a new vista of understanding of who this individual is. Chachamim tell us that all the holidays will be gone except for this one. Purim, Hanukkah, Yom Kippur are the three holidays that are going to have all the holidays are going to lose their own status. Purim, Hanukkah keep a special status in our yearly cycle of Chagim. And the reason for that is because Purim represents our relationship with God, fumbling through the dark, trying to get a deeper understanding without the clarity. There were no miracles in the Purim story. There was no splitting of the sea. There was no darkness. There was nothing. It was just us feeling the circumstances, understanding this relationship, and getting this deep clarity with God. And that is what unites us to God in the most profound kind of way. Be'ezrat Hashem, we will all see that light with the coming of the Mashiach. As we fumble through the darkness, we don't have 100% clarity. But if you allow yourself to get lost in what this Hag is, in what the story of the Megillah is trying to reveal to you, you're going to get one step closer to having this deep sense of understanding that everything in your lives is profoundly perfect. that everything that you have is uniquely yours, setting yourselves up to overcome the challenge, to achieve this level of greatness where you could express this deep joy and feel this happiness. Wishing you all a Purim Sameach. It should be the beginning of the clarity that we need to find, that Ora v'Simcha. Thank you so much.